What if everything you've been told about red meat and your health is based on studies that were never really about meat at all? Stick with me, because in the next 8 minutes, I'm going to flip everything you think you know completely upside down. Welcome back to the Meat Authority, the place where we celebrate everything meat, the flavors, the traditions, the craft, and yes, the science. Today, we're diving into one of the most searched, most debated, most misunderstood questions in all of food culture. Is red meat actually bad for you? And I don't just mean the surface-level stuff you've heard 1,000 times. I'm talking about the deep micro-health questions, the ones about iron absorption, saturated fat nuance, nitrate myths, and how your individual biology might make red meat one of the most powerful foods on your plate. Stay to the end, because there's a butcher's secret in here that will change how you shop forever. So let's start with the big one. For decades, red meat has been painted as this villain, the thing that clogs your arteries, spikes your cholesterol, and sends you to an early grave. But here's what most people don't realize. A huge percentage of the research linking red meat to health problems lumped together fresh cuts of grass-fed beef alongside heavily processed hot dogs and fast food patties. That's like studying car accidents and blaming the steering wheel without mentioning that half the drivers were texting. The data was never clean, and the headlines ran with it anyway. When researchers started separating unprocessed red meat from processed meat in their studies, something fascinating happened. The association with heart disease and other chronic conditions dropped dramatically, and in some cases disappeared entirely. A landmark analysis published in the Annals of Internal Medicine looked at over 1 million people and concluded that the evidence linking unprocessed red meat to heart disease was weak and inconsistent. That doesn't mean meat is magic, but it absolutely means the conversation is way more nuanced than what your average health headline is telling you. Now let's talk iron, because this is where red meat genuinely earns a standing ovation. There are 2 types of dietary iron: heme iron, which comes from animal sources, and non-heme iron, which comes from plants. The difference in how your body absorbs them is staggering. Non-heme iron has an absorption rate of around 2 to 20%, depending on what else you eat with it. Heme iron, up to 35%. And here's the part that blows people's minds. The heme iron in red meat actually helps your body absorb the non-heme iron from the vegetables on the same plate. That's not a theory, that's established nutritional science. So when you're eating a beautifully seared ribeye next to a roasted spinach salad, those 2 foods are working together in ways that a supplement simply cannot replicate.
Iron deficiency is one of the most common nutritional deficiencies in the world, affecting roughly 2 billion people globally. And yet red meat, one of the most bioavailable iron sources on the planet, gets pushed off the plate because of oversimplified health messaging. There is something deeply wrong with that picture. Now here's the part that really matters, and it's something almost nobody is talking about. Your individual response to red meat is not the same as your neighbors, your doctors, or some random study participants. The field of nutritional genomics, which studies how your genes interact with what you eat, is revealing that people metabolize saturated fats, respond to dietary cholesterol, and process heme iron in profoundly different ways based on their genetics. Some people carry a gene variant that makes them hyperabsorbers of dietary cholesterol, meaning a high red meat diet genuinely does raise their LDL. Others carry variants that process saturated fat efficiently and show zero negative cardiovascular response to moderate red meat consumption. One diet does not fit all, and the sooner we accept that, the smarter our food choices become. This also connects to something called zinc bioavailability, another area where red meat is quietly doing extraordinary work. Zinc is critical for immune function, wound healing, testosterone production, and cognitive performance. Red meat, particularly beef, is one of the richest and most bioavailable sources of zinc available. A 3-ounce serving of beef can deliver up to 45% of your daily zinc needs. Plant-based zinc sources, while valuable, contain phytates that actively inhibit absorption. For people dealing with fatigue, slow recovery, brain fog, or hormonal imbalances, zinc deficiency is often quietly lurking underneath, and adding quality red meat back into the diet has made a remarkable difference for many people. Okay, let's talk about the nitrate myth, because this one really drives me crazy. You've seen it on packaging: uncured, no added nitrates, nitrate-free bacon. Sounds healthier, right? Here's the thing. The celery powder and sea salt used to cure those so-called nitrate-free products, they are loaded with naturally occurring nitrates. The curing process still produces nitrates and nitrites. The labeling is essentially marketing, not science. And ironically, a single serving of arugula contains more nitrates than a serving of cured deli meat. Does that mean cured meats are health food? No, but it means the nitrate panic is wildly overblown, and you deserve to know the real story. And now, the butcher's secret, the one that will change how you shop. When you're at the counter and you want the healthiest, most nutrient-dense red meat option, ask your butcher for grass-finished beef specifically. Not just grass-fed, grass-finished. Grass-fed cattle can still be finished on grain before slaughter, which changes the fat profile significantly.
Grass-finished beef has a higher ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids, more conjugated linoleic acid, a fatty acid linked to body composition and immune health, and higher levels of fat-soluble vitamins like E and K2. It's also going to have that deeper, more mineral-forward flavor that makes a great steak taste like something ancient and honest. Ask for grass-finished. Those two words make all the difference. So here's where we land. Red meat is not the villain it was made out to be when you're talking about fresh, quality, unprocessed cuts eaten as part of a varied diet. The micro-health story, the iron, the zinc, the bioavailability, the genetic individuality, paints a picture of a food that has nourished humans for hundreds of thousands of years and continues to be one of the most nutrient-dense options on the planet when you choose well and cook with care. Is it the right choice for every single person in every single quantity? No. But broad, sweeping declarations that red meat is dangerous ignore an enormous amount of science that points in exactly the opposite direction. The real takeaway is this: know your source, know your cut, know your own body, and never let a clickbait headline make your food choices for you. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your go-to red meat meal when you want something that feels both incredible and nourishing? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and some of your answers have genuinely inspired future episodes on this channel. If today's video made you think twice about something you thought you knew, hit that like button. It truly helps us reach more meat lovers just like you. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we put out new content every single week, and you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next time, we are going deep into the world of dry-aged beef, why it costs more, why it tastes like nothing else on earth, and whether you can actually do it at home. Trust me, that one is going to be unforgettable.